Hello and welcome to the Tomorrow News. Today we'll explore the significance of tomorrow, March 17th. Why is this day important? What should we know about it? And why will it provide such a wonderful start to the week? Tomorrow is March 17th. Look at your left hand, then at your right. If your eyes spot a martenitsa, perhaps it's time to go outside, find a beautiful blooming tree, and hang your white and red bracelet for health and success. But let's return to the topics that will concern us tomorrow, namely, who owes us a treat for giving their first cry on March 17th. Many of you wake up early in the morning, complete your routines, go outside, head to your car, get inside, turn the key and drive off, some to work, others to school, and others just for a quick drive. Many people, however, don't realize that this daily ritual is largely possible thanks to a man born on March 17, 1834, Gottlieb Daimler. Young Gottlieb was born in the small German town of Schorndorf, near Stuttgart. Daimler became an engineer after graduating from the Polytechnic Institute of Stuttgart. Even then, he passionately became interested in steam engines, especially steam locomotives. He was deeply convinced that steam as a driving force would soon be replaced. At that time, an internal combustion engine already existed, but it was too slow, large, and impractical for mass use. Daimler, together with his friend Wilhelm Maybach, yes, the same Maybach, improved this engine by making it smaller, lighter, and adjusted it to run on gasoline, reaching to astounding for the time 600 revolutions per minute. The two managed to shrink their engine so much that they fitted it on a bicycle, creating the first motorcycle in 1885. Just a year later, Daimler and Maybach managed to mount it on a modified carriage, thus creating the first four-wheeled automobile. Later, in 1890, Daimler founded Daimler Motorengesellschaft, or DMG, a company that would later become Mercedes-Benz. So tomorrow, when you press the gas pedal to catch the traffic light turning from yellow to red, when your engine roars, remember it's thanks to the man who created its great-grandfather, Gottlieb Daimler.
I'm not a fool, Bliskin.
Call me Snake.
And if you're a movie fan, particularly of action films from the 80s and 90s, it might be interesting to know that tomorrow is also actor Kurt Russell's birthday. We know him from his roles in films like Escape from New York, The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China. Although these films have now reached a venerable age, Kurt Russell also participates in a modern mainstream series. One of them is Guardians of the Galaxy, where in the second part he plays Ego.
I'm your dad, Peter.
Kurt Russell also portrays Mr. Nobody in the family-oriented Fast and Furious movie series. Or were these movies actually about family? But enough looking for excuses to eat the cake and have a drink or two. Let's now see why March 17 is an important date in history. Imagine Italy, the land of the great Roman Empire, which once ruled almost the entire known world, now divided into small kingdoms, principalities, and territories governed by the various states. Each region speaks its own dialect, has its own leaders, pursues its own policies and often conflicts with the others. During this time, Italy was fragmented into many parts, some of which included the Kingdom of Sardinia-Piedmont, the only territory led by an Italian ruler, the Papal States, located in central Italy, governed directly by the Pope, the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, ruled by the Spanish Bourbon dynasty, Lombardy and Venice, wealthy regions directly controlled by the Austrian Empire, which also influenced several smaller principalities such as Parma, Modena, and Tuscany. Despite all this political division, the Italian people remained culturally and spiritually connected. In 1830, an Italian patriot named Giuseppe Mazzini gained great popularity among the population. He had radical ideas for his time, envisioning Italy as a united, independent republic. Mazzini inspired many revolutions, and in 1848 a genuine uprising broke across many cities. People demanded independence from Austria, striving to create a unified nation. Although the rebellion was ultimately suppressed and Mazzini exiled, these struggles sparked the beginning of Italian nationalism, and people awaited a new leader's emergence. Such a leader appeared in the form of Victor Emmanuel II, who was the king of Sardinia-Piedmont. His most trusted advisor was his prime minister Camillo di Cavour, a brilliant strategist who did not believe in revolutions but knew Italy could be unified only through diplomacy and warfare. Cavour understood that Austria was his biggest enemy and that his small kingdom could not defeat it alone. Therefore, he secretly allied with France, then led by Napoleon III. In 1859, the Second War of Italian Independence began. French and Sardinian troops engaged in numerous battles against the Austrian Empire, eventually forcing Austria to surrender Lombardy to Sardinia. Meanwhile, revolutions erupted in Tuscany, Parma, and Modena, and ultimately these regions also chose to join Sardinia, achieving a huge success as northern Italy finally freed itself from Austrian influence and became unified. While Cavour fought in the north, another legendary figure emerged in the southern part of the country. His name was Giuseppe Garibaldi, a charismatic soldier and revolutionary beloved by the people, dreaming of a fully unified Italy. In 1860, Garibaldi gathered an army of about 1,000 volunteers, famously known as the Red Shirts. They achieved incredible success, first landing in Sicily, defeating the Bourbons and taking control of the island. Then, led by their unstoppable commander, they marched north, entered Naples, and expelled the Spanish dynasty from Italy. Southern Italy was now also liberated, but Garibaldi was a republican, which conflicted with Victor Emmanuel's royal ambitions. Worried about these differences, Victor Emmanuel sent troops south, but instead of fighting, Garibaldi peacefully handed control over him, and thus Italy became unified under one crown for the first time. On March 17, 1861, the Italian parliament declared the creation of the Kingdom of Italy. Although Rome and Venice joined a few years later, this date forever remained in the hearts of the Italians as the day when Italy finally became a free and unified country. This is an inspiring story of how, through sacrifice and dedication, even the boldest dreams can be achieved. But to dive deeper into the significance of March 17th, I'll tell you another story. It begins at the end of the 4th century, somewhere in the British part of the Roman Empire, where a boy named Mewin Sukat was born. He wasn't Irish, but he remains forever as one of the most significant figures in Irish history. Mewin was born into a wealthy family. His father was a priest, and his grandfather was a deacon in the local Catholic church. Mewin himself, however, wasn't particularly religious and lived a normal life for a boy his age. Shortly after turning 16, his life took an unexpected turn. One day, while playing on the shore, his village was attacked by a group of Irish pirates. Before he could escape, Mewin was captured along with many others and forcibly taken to Ireland, a land completely unknown to him. There, he was sold into slavery and spent 6 long years working as a shepherd for a local chieftain. During that time, the boy changed profoundly. Alone in the wilderness, he began praying, seeking God's help. His faith started to grow stronger. Knowing he was no longer alone and had someone to rely on. One night, while sleeping, Mewin had a vision. In his dream, God appeared and told him it was time to escape and that a ship was waiting for him at the harbor. Armed with nothing but his faith, the young man escaped from his slave masters, crossing more than 200 miles on foot through mountains and forests, finally reaching the coast, where a ship was indeed waiting. Although initially reluctant, the sailors agreed to take him aboard, and Mewin finally sailed back home, still unaware that something had changed forever within him. After a long and dangerous voyage, Mewin Sukat returned to his family, savoring his long-desired freedom. Back in his homeland, he could have lived a happy and peaceful life, but fate had other plans for him. One evening, he had another vision. This time, he saw Irish people begging him to return to them once again. "Come back to us, boy. Walk among us once more," they told him. From that moment, Mewin knew his mission. He began studying Christianity and took a new name, Patricius, or as history would forever remember him, Patrick. After some time, Patrick returned to Ireland, not as a slave, but as a priest who would spread his faith. Over the next decades, he traveled through all Ireland, converting people and introducing them to Christianity. It wasn't an easy task, as the people there were divided into tribes, each with its own custom and pagan gods. Patrick spoke their language, knew their traditions, and even used their own symbols to explain Christianity. He famously used the three-leaved shamrock to illustrate the idea of the Holy Trinity. 3 leaves, 1 flower, just like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Despite fierce resistance from the local chieftains, Patrick persisted, and after his death on March 17th, around the year 461, Ireland was forever changed. Although he was never officially canonized by the Pope, people's love for him was so immense that they worshipped him as a saint, making him the patron saint of the island. As the years went by, the legend of Saint Patrick reached our times. That is why, on March 17th, much of the world celebrates Saint Patrick's Day. People hold massive parades dressed in green and wear shamrocks. So tomorrow, remember the legend of Saint Patrick. recall the incredible story of Italy's unification, and rest assured that tomorrow is indeed a bright day.